हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु। अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं। ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिवा कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि द्रविणगं सुवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We'll read this first, just wait. Anyway, in India, many Mahatmas requested us to read this because it is for the prayer, it's prayer for the whole world. In fact, the topic we are going to discuss now is very much relevant for today's situation. In fact, why and how we should live our lives in harmony with the universal law and order. Otherwise, consequences we have to face. We can't point out this one particular person, one particular country, everywhere. Anyway. Shambho Mahadeva, 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 Shambho Mahadeva. Shri Rama Saumitri Jatayuveda, Shri Rama Saumitri Jatayuveda, Shadananaditya, Nanaditya, Kujarchitaya, Kujarchitaya, Shri Neelakantaya Dayamayaya, Shri Neelakantaya Dayamayaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya. Ganga Pravahendu, Ganga Pravahendu, Jatadharaya, Jatadharaya, Ganga Pravahendu, Jatadharaya, Pravahendu, Jatadharaya, Trilochanaya, Smarakalahantre, Trilochanaya, Smarakalahantre, Trilochanaya, Trilochanaya, Smarakalahantre, Smarakalahantre, Samasta Devairabhipujitaya, Samasta Devairabhipujitaya, Samasta Devairabhipujitaya, Samasta Devairabhipujitaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Nathaya Namah Shivaya. Bhaktah Priyaya, Bhaktah Priyaya, Tripurantakaya, Tripurantakaya, Bhaktah Priyaya, Tripurantakaya, Bhaktah Priyaya, Tripurantakaya, Pinakine Dushtaharaya Nityam, Pinakine Dushtaharaya Nityam, Pinakine Dushtaharaya Nityam, Dushtaharaya Nityam, Pratyakshashilaya, Pratyakshalilaya Manushaloke, Pratyakshalilaya Manushaloke, Pratyakshalilaya Manushaloke, Pratyakshalilaya Manushaloke, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya, Shri Vaidyanathaya Namah Shivaya. Prabhu Tavatadi, Tavatadi, Samasta Roga, Samasta Roga, Pranashakartre, Pranashakartre, Munivanditaya, Munivanditaya, Prabhakarendvagni, 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 Vilochanaya, विलोचनाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय प्रभूतवातादि समस्त रोग विनाशकर्ता भगवान, destroyer of all forms of diseases. प्रभूतवातादि समस्त रोग pranashakarte. That the na must be cerebral. It is dental is wrong. Spelling mistake. Pranashakarte munivanditaya Pranashakarte munivanditaya Pranashakarte munivanditaya Pranashakarte munivanditaya Prabhakarendvagni vilochanaya Prabhakarendvagni vilochanaya Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Vakshrotra netrangri Vihinajantoho Vakshrotra netrangri Vihinajantoho Vakshrotra netrangri Vihinajantoho Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Kushtadi sarvonnata rogahantre Kushtadi sarvonnata rogahantre Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Vakshrotra netrangri Vihinajantoho Vakshrotra netrangri Vihinajantoho Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Vakshrotra netrangri Sukhapradaya Kushtadi sarvonnata rogahantre Kushtadi sarvonnata rogahantre Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Vedanta Vedyaya Jaganmayaya Vedanta Vedyaya Jaganmayaya Vedanta Vedyaya Jaganmayaya Vedanta Vedyaya Jaganmayaya Yogishwaradhyaya Padambujaya Yogishwaradhyaya Padambujaya Yogishwaradhyaya, again there dha, the spelling mistake is there. Yogishwaradhyaya Padambujaya Yogishwaradhyaya Padambujaya. The transliteration is okay. Yogishwaradhyaya Padambujaya Shwaradhyaya Padambujaya Trimurti Rupaya Trimurti Rupaya Sahasranamne Sahasranamne Trimurti Rupaya Sahasranamne Trimurti Rupaya Sahasranamne Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya Shri Vaidyanataya Namah Shivaya श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय वैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय स्वतीर्थ मृद्भस्म भृताङ्गभाजां स्वतीर्थमृद्भस्मं भृताङ्गभाजां स्वतीर्थमृद्भस्मभृताङ्गभाजां 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 पिशाचदुःखार्तिभयापहाय 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 दुःखार्तिभयापहाय पिशाचदुःखार्तिभयापहाय दुःखार्तिभयापहाय आत्मस्वरूपाय शरीरभाजाम् आत्मस्वरूपाय शरीरभाजाम् आत्मस्वरूपाय शरीरभाजाम् स्वरूपाय शरीरभाजां श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीनीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय श्रीनीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय स्रग्गन्ध भस्माद् स्रग्गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय स्रग्गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय स्रग्गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय सुपुत्रदारादिसुभाग्यदाय 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 श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय जनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीनीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय नीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय स्रग्गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय स्रग्गन्धभस्माद्यभिशोभिताय सुपुत्रदारादिसुभाग्यदाय सुपुत्रदारादिसुभाग्यदाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय श्रीवैद्यनाथाय नमः शिवाय वालाम्बिकेश वैद्येश भवरोगहरेति च जपे नामत्रयं नित्यं महारोगनिवारणं बालाम्बिकेश वैद्येश भवरोगहरेति च भवरोगहरेति च जपे नामत्रयं नित्यं जपे नामत्रयं नित्यं महारोगनिवारणम् आरोगनिवारणम्. Stotram only consists of 8 verses. Always every stotra means a work in the form of verse consisting of praise of Bhagavan. So last verse is a Palashruti. It's a Palashruti. Palashruti means what is the palam you get. The benefit of chanting is called Palashruti. For every stotram there's a Palashruti. What is the benefit you'll have if you read it? Why? Because unless we know what do I get out of it, we will not do it. So every stotram presents also Palashruti. Okay, we're supposed to begin the next topic of this Bhriguvalli. As I said, can't hear now? Maybe for sake of reciting it, I may my volume. Because almost more than 2 months I hadn't been singing because of my throat problems. The singing has gone. Okay. The Sakshat Jnana Sadhanam being Vicharaha, the directly associated means of knowledge, the discipline directly associated with the knowledge is enquiry into the subject matter of the teaching. And here mainly enquiry into the nature of one's own self, and using this Panchakosha Prakriya. So in fact, analysis of 5 koshas itself has been taken for enquiry. Even though the Rishi Varunaha mentioned this Panchakosha, Viveka, and he also gave a brief Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. And what is that Brahman? Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam Brahma. Srishti Matra Nimitta Karanam Brahma. Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam Vivarta Upadana Karanam Brahma. That Brahman being identical with Atmanandaha, obtaining as the truth of one's own self, distinct from the Panchakoshas. So Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Atmanandaha being identical with Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam of the Jagat. Brahman has been very clearly established here. In fact, what was taught in the second chapter has been briefly summed up in this third chapter, in the very end, beginning itself. Now you have understood that. And after that, now Upanishad is going to teach us some disciplines in terms of vratams, and based on annam. Why annam is given importance here? What is the purpose of giving importance for annam? Because we ask, the reason is inquiry into the Panchakosha Vivekaha itself. The first stage of Panchakosha Vivekaha, first stage of analysis of 5 koshas begins from Annamaya Kosha. And then if you see, our strongest identity is also with Annamaya Kosha. So strongest identity is with Annamaya Kosha. And their grossest personality is also what? Annamaya Kosha. The grossest of the koshas is Annamaya Kosha. And the strongest identity is also with this Annamaya Kosha. If we see all our problems, apart from emotional problems, all our worldly issues are mainly based on our identity with this Annamaya Deha, gross physical body. And definitely we spend a lot of time and energy for security, and all our efforts for security is also based on security. If you see, it's also based on our identity with the physical body. Therefore, it is important to learn the disciplines based on, associated with the Annam. So here Upanishad is going to introduce the Upasanam meditation. And this Upasanam, suppose when Upasanam is taught, there must be some purpose. Of course, we all know the general result of benefit of practicing Upasanam is there. We all know that general benefit. What is the benefit of practicing meditation generally? Generally, practice of meditation contributes for mental steadiness. Unsteady, disturbed, restless, agitated mind becomes calm and steady by the practice of meditation. That's why Karma Yoga is for mental purification and Upasanam is for mental steadiness. Antahkarana Shuddhyartham Karma Yoga, Antahkarana Naischalyartham Upasanam. Mental purity and mental steadiness, for which we have Karma Yoga and meditation as the sadhanas. But generally, this is the general. benefit. Of course, mental steadiness is important for the attainment of knowledge. We know this very well now, being exposed to this teaching. We're very clear. Moksha being the ultimate goal, choiceless end, and knowledge of the reality obtaining as one's own self is the only means of attaining moksha. Atma Jnanam. Instead of saying knowledge of the reality means you will look at it as something object. Self-knowledge, knowledge of one's own real nature is the only means of the attainment of moksha. And for that jnanam, knowledge of one's own self is actually knowledge of the most abstract reality. Now you know, being exposed to the teaching, how abstract is your Swarupam. When essence is shifted from the grossest body to the subtlest consciousness, one must be strong enough to see, to lose one's identity with the gross body. Now, having an identity with the gross body is sort of having something to lean on. Imagine a tender plant, tender creeper, very tender, delicate creeper. And then you want the creeper to creep. And it cannot stand by itself in the wind. It will fall on the floor. So if it has to stay straight, and you have to give support, you have to put something to support. Then again you bind it, tie it with a stick or something, put a support. Always a tender, delicate creepers need some support to hold on to. A tender creeper cannot stay by itself. It needs a support. Similarly, the immature mind also needs something to lean on. It cannot stay by itself. Not being able to be by itself means what? No human being or a human child is able to be by one's own self. No? Being able to be by oneself. Now what it means? Being able to be by oneself. Without the company of anything. Without having people, I'm not saying you should not have people around. Without having people around, without having any relationship, without having any books, without having any program, without doing anything also, just being yourself. Being yourself is being by oneself. It is not possible. Therefore, no mind can ever remain by itself. It always needs to lean on to something. Just as a creeper needs to lean on a stick to be able to stand, the mind also needs to lean on something or the other. Therefore, physical identity in the beginning is like the stick for the creeper. Not possible. That is why you can see that expression. Any child, if you see, always children, when they sit next to the mom or dad, they always go and they lean like this. Have you noticed that? Always when they suppose the mother is sitting, the child is here, no child will ever sit like this. Immediately go and lean on like this. Naturally comes. Any child, please note, make a note if you happen to see anywhere. Children always come and lean on the parents, especially mother. I mean, sitting around, they put the lap on the head on the lap. Very natural. That is an emotional expression of a child's emotional need. Then immediately no mother pushes. Again, okay, they pat and keep also. Because the child needs that warmth, that care. What I'm saying, it's all psychological, emotional need. So no mind can stay by itself. It needs to have identity. But what happens in jnanam, you're leaning. It is like a grabbing grabbing the creeper from the stick and making it stand by itself. It looks very cruel, isn't it? It sounds very cruel. That's not actually. That is why you need to be mature. When a plant is very, very tender, small plant, I had to put small, small sticks to make it support. When the plant grows into a big tree or some strong plant, they remove the support. Similarly here also, until one becomes adequately mature, one has to have identity. That's why this, because in knowledge what happens, your identity is shifted, removed. Cognitively, your identity goes, not with the physical body, not with the pranas, not with the mind. Finally, where are you taken to identify? You have to identify yourself with the formless, abstract reality. Formless, abstract reality you have to identify yourself with. Aham Brahmasmi means people will laugh at you. But you know how real it is as the fact. Aham Brahmasmi, Anandoham, Aham Anandaha Asmi, Aham Atma Asmi, Aham Brahma, Aham Brahma Asmi means what? Where is your identity? You are with the body mind hands complex, but cognitively your identity is with your real nature, which is abstract, formless. Formless, limitless, consciousness, existence, fullness. Abstract. Which means one mind must be prepared. Understand? Mental preparation is required. That is why it seems once Swami Vivekananda went to Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and he asked, have you seen God? He said, yes. Then can you show me the God? See, usually we do not, with tradition, jnanam means you have to study Shastram and pramanam, because keeping your eyes closed, you cannot see the light. So you have to use operate the pramanam properly. Then pramana operation should definitely bless you with the benefit. Because jnanam vastu tantram. It's not your choice. There's no choice. Once you keep your eyes open, you're making use of the pramanam called eyes. What choice do you have over seeing the light? Now I want to keep my eyes open, but I should not see the light. I don't want light to be seen. Can you say that? Can you say that? You have to understand your, you do not have any say over the light being seen once eyes are kept open. Eyes are used. When the pramanam called Shastram is used, properly used, then naturally you can't, definitely you will have the vision of the truth properly. And again, that is why one sitting is not enough, means again Shravanam, Pauna Punyena Shravanam, repeatedly listening, then Mananam, then again Nididhyasanam to assimilate, then not to lose sight of one vision, isn't it? Not lose sight of what one sees. Therefore, so Vivekananda, it seems for him, that's a general rule, but Paramahamsa touched him here. And then he had an instantaneous ecstasy. That's what I read it. Any experience is not jnanam. Maybe he made him lose identity with all the body, minds, and he might have made him lose identity with the body, minds, and complex. Once identity shifted from the body, minds, and complex, where will the essence stay? With the formless, abstract reality. Okay, we do not take that as jnanam. He had some experience. But what I want to say here, when you're consciously made to lose your identity with the body, mind, and complex, it'll be very frightening. Very frightening. Which means you must be mature. That is why this knowledge also mature enough, adequately mature to appreciate the fact, understand the fact, to accept the fact also, to have the vision. One must be mature, adequately mature. That is why we say it's a fact, abstract fact. One must be emotionally stable, intellectually sharp. One must be pure enough to have this. That is why preparation is so much of importance is given for mental preparation for jnanam. First of all, understanding will not be possible. If at all understanding is possible, assimilation is not possible. Assimilation is not possible means then you cannot enjoy the benefit of knowledge. So, in fact, a person has to enjoy the benefit of knowledge in terms of moksha, then one must assimilate this. For assimilating and also understanding, assimilating for everything, one must prepare one's mind. Mental preparedness is very, very important. That is why Shastram teaches from the beginning, from a very young age, there's a way of life prescribed, which is Karma Yoga. Live a life of Karma Yoga. Then bring in Bhagavan. Then they have prayer. They have worship. And also practice meditation. Then also live a life of values. Do all your duties ordained. Then living a life of Karma Yoga gradually, in due course of time, effortlessly, contributes for adequate preparedness to be able to sit in the class first. People run away from Vedanta classes otherwise. Who will sit? The whole 2 hours, who will listen to Ananda, Aham Brahma? Who will listen? Consciousness, who will listen? It needs a maturity. Otherwise, it will be like, it will go above the head. Even to sit in the class, then understand the teaching, even after coming and sitting also, be able to understand and to appreciate, and then later on to be able to reflect upon and to assimilate this teaching also. Definitely mental preparedness is very, very important. That is why always disciplines are repeatedly discussed in this Shastram. So earlier we had some disciplines discussed in this Ikshavalli. But now the discipline, what has gone before in the previous section, the 7th Anuvakaha, is actually the only Vicharaha. Again, Vicharaha is directly associated with knowledge, isn't it? Enquiry. That is for Jnanam only. So, Vicharaha is for the attainment of knowledge. The discipline, being given to the discipline of enquiry into the nature of reality, using this Panchakosha Prakriya, is for the attainment of knowledge of one's own Swarupam. Knowledge of reality obtaining as one's own Swarupam. But here, these disciplines taught here are not for the attainment of knowledge, but for preparing the mind for knowledge. That's what I want to say. So now why this particular meditation is taught here, if you ask? Of course, the general result purpose is to prepare one's mind for jnanam in terms of mental steadiness. But here, Upanishad wants to give a different perspective. What's the different perspective that Upanishad wants to give, if you ask? Now, perspective of what? Different perspective of the universe, the whole cosmos. Now there is a perception of the universe. Now we all perceive this universe. But through this Upasana, Upanishad wants us to change our perspective. See, after Jnanam, you have a different perspective. The whole Jagat is Brahma, that's a different perspective. Even before Jnanam also, what sort of perspective a person should have? Now, how do we see this whole universe? We are not able to see this universe being one whole. We see for us, in our perception, universe is of the fragmentations. We look at the universe as something fragmented one. In our perception, universe is something which is fragmented. Universe is of fragmentations. We are not able to appreciate this universe being one whole thing. In fact, this upasanam, the practice of this upasanam should bless us with subtleness of mind, that we must be able to appreciate this universe being non-fragmented. We must be able to see this universe as the whole cosmos, whole universe as a whole body of an organism. One organism. The whole universe, we should be able to see this whole universe as the whole body of an organism. A cosmic organism. If we are able to appreciate this whole universe as a whole body of a cosmic organism, then that is called appreciation of the universe as the Bhagavat Rupam. Seeing the whole universe as a whole body of an organism, as a cosmic organism, is what seeing the universe as Ishvara Dehaha or Bhagavad Shariram, Bhagavad Rupam or Vishwa Rupam of Bhagavan. Cosmic form of Bhagavan. But we are not able to see that. In our buddhi, only fragmented. That is why we need border security and all that. No, I just said don't. That's okay. Okay. And the whole. Then, if we are able to appreciate this whole universe, whole cosmos, as a body of an organism, as a cosmic organism, then we look at it as Bhagavan's body, Ishvara Deha. Then we give a different name, Viradishvaraha, Virat, or Hiranyagarbha. Virat is a name attributed to the whole physical manifestation. So Hiranyagarbha, the two names attributed to Bhagavan, the Lord. Why? When you look at where is the Bhagavan sitting? Bhagavan is the whole cosmos. But the problem is, how can we appreciate this universe being one whole? One whole. How can we appreciate this universe being a cosmic organism, one whole cosmic organism? How can we appreciate it as Virat or Hiranyagarbha? To be simply saying, how can we see that? For which we need to understand the interconnectedness, interconnectivity, interdependence of these innumerable, countless phenomena which constitute the whole cosmos. How can we see that? How can we see the whole universe as one cosmic being? Virat Purushaha, Vishwarupaha. When Krishna showed it to Arjuna, he got very scared. Know why he got scared? Dvitiyadhi bhayam bhavati. He saw the whole Vishwarupam, but he isolated himself from Bhagavan. Dvaitam, fear. He did not see himself in the Vishwarupam. He must have seen, if he had included himself in Vishwarupam, he wouldn't have had fear. Got it? Why fear Krishna? Arjuna said, enough, come back to your original. Because the fear is, if Arjuna saw himself being non-separate from the Vishwarupam, he would not have fear. We saw in the class how it removes the fear. Whereas in Bhagavatam, there's a place, the Krishna goes and eats mud, and he comes back, and all his friends come and tell his mother, this boy had eaten mud outside. So she was so worried, was child. She asked him to open the mouth, and then she wanted to clean. And then when she opened the mouth, sitting in front of his own house, and in Krishna's mouth, this Yashoda saw, my God, all the mountains and rivers and the whole cosmos she saw in Krishna's mouth. And this Yashoda saw her own house. She saw little Krishna standing in front of her. She saw herself also in that mouth. So Yashoda was not scared of Vishwarupa Darshanam. Why? She had Advaita Darshanam. Which means she did not exclude herself in the Jagat she saw. She saw herself as part of the universe. She saw herself sitting in front of Krishna, in front of her house. That also she saw in Krishna's mouth. So as long as you see yourself being separate from Bhagavan, fear will be there. If you see yourself being non-separate from Bhagavan, there's no fear. Isn't it? But in order to see yourself being non-separate from Bhagavan, Arjuna also had Vishwarupa Darshanam. Yashoda also had Vishwarupa Darshanam. But Yashoda was not scared. She had Anandaha. Because she saw herself in Krishna's mouth. She saw herself as part of the whole. Which means, that is Advaita Jnanam. Whereas Arjuna still had what? Dvaita Jnanam. He could not see himself being non-separate from Bhagavan. He still saw himself being separate from Bhagavan. Therefore Arjuna was frightened. Is it? But before having this Advaita Darshanam, you must be able to see this whole cosmos as Bhagavan. So Advaita Darshanam is what? Arupa Jnanam. Knowledge of the formless reality. Only in the wake of the knowledge of reality being absolutely formless, abstract reality, then only you resolve your identity. Only then it's called Arupa Darshanam, Arupa Bhakti. But before going to Arupa Bhakti or Arupa Jnanam, Arupa Darshanam means formless. Knowledge of the formless reality is better to learn to have Vishwarupa Darshanam. Vishwarupa Bhakti. So our growth must be such. We start worshipping Bhagavan one given form, which is Ekarupa Bhakti. From there, we must grow. You must be able to see Bhagavan is not this one simple form. Everything here is Bhagavan. The whole cosmos is Bhagavan. So, Ekarup, from one devotion to one form, our devotion must rise to what? To the level of seeing the whole universe as Bhagavan. Then from seeing the whole universe as Bhagavan, our devotion must culminate in the vision of Bhagavan Swarupam being one's own self. Arupa Bhakti. Ekarupa Bhakti to Vishwarupa Bhakti. Vishwarupa Bhakti to Arupa Bhakti. Arupa Bhakti means what? Advaita Darshanam. So, first Vishwarupa Bhakti we need. Be able to appreciate the whole cosmos as manifestation of Bhagavan, the Lord. Only then you can say cosmic person, cosmic being, cosmic organism. You don't look at it as cosmic, simply you see it as Viradishwaraha, which means in your perception, the universe will not be fragmented one. It is a one whole body of Bhagavan. But how can we appreciate this universe being one whole cosmic organism? For which the only way of understanding that is by understanding your own body. We never look at our own physical body as a fragmented one. You never look at your physical body as a fragmented one. You see it as a whole. You know, there's so many organs inside. So many functions are happening. There's so many functions associated with so many organs. And all those organs also put together intelligently. All of them. Why do we see this whole, even though different organs involved in different functions are put together intelligently, are together, as we only look at them as one whole individual body. Why? Because all of them are interconnected, interdependent. Isn't it? One small problem in the heart will affect the other system, all other functions. Because there's interconnection. And the interconnection, we cannot see the interconnection, interdependence through physical eyes. But definitely we can appreciate how they are interconnected. The function of kidneys, function of heart, function of lungs, function of bile, function of all your liver, your heart, all of them are interconnected. All the organs are interconnected. They're interdependent also. All are interdependence. Every organ, every function contributes for every other organ. Every organ is dependent on every other organ for its wellness and for its function. All of them must be in harmony, only then there's a healthy system, isn't it? We understand it very well. Suppose some problem on the teeth, one tooth, some problem has headache, eye problem. It can't be, so many other parts are affected. How come that one part in somewhere, one corner has some problem, and the whole body, all other systems get affected? We know how it happens. Which means, even though there's so many parts, so many organs associated with so many functions, still they're all interconnected, they function together. And then how they are, their interconnectedness, connectivity, and interdependence, very subtle. We do not see through physical eyes, but still we appreciate. That is why all the doctors can work together sometimes. Somebody is very unwell. The pulmonologist, I remember very well when Swamiji was sick in the hospital, pulmonologist, cardiologist, nephrologist, all of them gathered together to decide what to do to sort out the problem. And the heart patient, kidney problem, other problems were there. So they all work together. What I'm saying, because all are interconnected. Therefore, what I want to say, if you understand here interconnectedness, you can understand how everything in this universe, every phenomenon in this universe is interdependent, mutually dependent. Every phenomenon in this universe is dependent on every other phenomenon. Everything is interconnected, and we need to understand the interdependence, and there is an order, the interdependence in their functioning. We need to be subtle to appreciate this interconnectedness. Only then, how your physical body, you look at it as an organism, as a one whole. Similarly, the cosmos also should be seen as one cosmic being, cosmic Purusha, person. This is very important. You have to only understand from your own system, you can appreciate interconnectivity. So human being, there's relationship, connection between human being and the space. There's connection between human being and the air. There's a connection between human being and the fire. Connection between human being and the water. There's a connection between human being and the earth. This connection between human beings and all other plants. There's a connection between human being, other living beings, other animals, forests. We may think, what do we have to do with the forests? We do not see that. Very is invisible. How we are related, how we are connected, how we are interdependent, that is not visible through physical eyes. We need to appreciate it. Isn't it? Therefore, if we appreciate, then we see this whole cosmos as one Bhagavan's body. That is when you name it Virat Purushaha or Hiranyagarbheshwaraha. So this is the perspective which comes from before appreciation of this universe being Bhagavan, you see this universe as a fragmented one. After appreciating everything being connected to everything else, you appreciate this universe as Bhagavan, as one whole. Once you understand this, how everything is interconnected here, and based on this appreciation of the fact of everything being one whole, one cosmic organism, only then based on this alone, even the science of ecology, living an eco-friendly life, ecological balance, all these are based on this appreciation of this whole cosmos being one cosmic organism. This is the perspective change. This Upasanam, there's no Aham Brahmasmi Jnanam here, not Arupa Jnanam, not Advaita Darshanam, but still Vishwarupa Darshanam. Means what? Vishwarupa Darshana means Vishwarupa Bhakti. That is when you have great reverence for the whole cosmos as Bhagavan. In fact, J.C. Bose, a scientist, was there who found even the plant's pain. How everything is connected with everything else means if something goes wrong anywhere, it will affect. Now, tsunami, earthquake, or floods, or any natural calamities or what, or expressions of, the disorder, to bring the disorder back to order, the changes happening in the universe. Uncontrollable, unpreventable, sometimes unpredictable, unpredictable also uncontrollable. Now we have something new. Something new. Always something will be there. So we do not see the consequence. In fact, you are very sensitive, you can appreciate this. If a flower is plucked from a plant, can you believe it disturbs the star? We can appreciate this. How can, if you pluck the flower here, star is, my God, not reachably far. How can star gets disturbed? How can star get disturbed? It should not touch it. It should not affect the star, but star becomes disturbed if a flower is plucked. Even insects' wing movement affects some luminary, it seems. We don't appreciate it because there's a connection. Without thoughtlessly, if we go on, deforestation is happening somewhere, and the result, the consequence will not be immediately. It will take some decades to face. We do not know what happened, when it happened, how it happened. Something has happened before. Somewhere the law has been disturbed, order has been disturbed, this cosmic harmony has been disturbed. Therefore, it is like some small problem in the kidney can affect the blood circulation, the function of heart, function of liver, function of everything. Similarly, wherever nature is disturbed, other part of the universe will be affected. Which means, if we appreciate with a different perspective of everything as one whole cosmic organism, yes, then we give a different name also with a great reverence as Bhagavan Virat Purushaha. Then our lives will be also what? We will live our lives in this universe enjoying the contribution of those devatas without disturbing them. If we can live our lives, then we do not disturb the order. Then we will be blessed by the devatas, we will be blessed by the order. Therefore, appreciation of everything being one whole cosmic being very important, and that perspective will be possible if we practice this meditation. Keeping this purpose, intention alone, Upanishad presents this meditation here. Is it clear? Now, we will go into the subject matter of the teaching here. Now, Ashtamaha Anuvakaha. This, in science, this interconnectedness and interdependence of all the phenomena said to be symbiotic relationship. Then again we have difference as a mutualism, commensation and parasitism. We have the different degrees of the one word is enough. Symbiotic relationship. There again different, the three types of symbiotic relationship. I'm not going into the details. Just I wanted to understand. We'll go to this class. And here, for meditation, we're going to see the relationship and mutual support, mutual dependence, interdependence of three pairs. First pair, Agnihi. No. First pair is actually Annam Pranaha. Annam, you should better take the word as Shariram. Shariram Pranaha. First pair is Shariram Pranaha. That we will see in the first 6th, 7th chapter. Yeah. 8th chapter. 7th chapter. Yeah, 7th chapter. Saptamaha Anuvakaha, 7th chapter, where you say Annaprana Vratam. Annaprana Vrata means the discipline of meditation. Meditation upon the mutual relationship, interdependence of pranaha and shariram. First is pranaha and shariram. In the next chapter, we'll see the pair which is taken for meditation is Agnihi and Apaha. And the last pair is Akashaha and Prithvi. We'll take this. Just only seeing the interdependence, the mutual support of these devatas, we can appreciate the interconnectedness or interdependence of all the phenomena in this universe. Upanishad need not teach the whole, how everything is connected, we need not understand. Some example, like a sample, it is given here. First, what is taken here is Shariram and Pranaha. This pair, Shariram, body, then Pranaha, prana. These two are taken, a pair of body and prana are taken, is taken for meditation. We are going to see the interdependence of these two in the form of relationship, twofold relationship. One is Anna Annada Sambandha, consumer-consumed relationship. Consumer-consumed or eater-eaten relationship, consumer-consumed relationship between pranaha and shariram, prana and body. And the second relationship is Pratishtha Pratishtita Sambandha. Pratishtha Pratishtita Sambandha means supporter-support relationship. First is consumer-consumed relationship. Then second is supporter-support relationship. Pratishta pratishtita sambandha, anna annada sambandha. Is it clear? We are going to see how this pranaha and body, pranaha and shariram, how they are mutually dependent in terms of consumer and consumed relations. With reference to consumer-consumed relationship, and how there's a connection between the two as support pratishtha pratishtita sambandha. We're going to see that first. Let us read first. Read the mantra first. Annam na nindyat. Annam na nindyat. Annam na nindyat. Na nindyat. Tadvratam. This is called first vratam. Before entering into the subject matter of meditation, Upanishad first teaches one vratam. Vratam here is a discipline. Not a vow like what you have, it's a vratam. What is that? Annam na nindyat. May one not criticize food. Whatever food is served, we must eat as prasada without criticizing, finding fault, showing a face. Of course, we don't do here. I'm just saying. So, annam na nindyat. Why we should not criticize food? Because annam Brahma. We know all that Virat. Food is Virat Bhagavan, Virat Ishvaraha. Lakshmi, Mahavishnu is in the form of food actually. So annam Brahma. See, Brahman is not annam, but annam is Brahma. Samashti annam Brahma, you know that. We already understood very well. After having gone through this Panchakosha Prakriya, we cannot say we do not know Annam Brahma. Therefore, Annam Brahma, Annam is Bhagavan. Therefore, may one not criticize food. This is the first vratam. Next, we are going to see we may not waste food. That will be next lesson. Okay. Now, Annam na nindyat. Annam na nindyat. Tadvratam prano va annam shariramaannadam prano va annam shariramaannadam. These first two lines reveal anna annada sambandha between prana and body. First relationship, anna annada sambandha, consumed relationship between the prana and the body. Is it clear? Consumed relationship between the prana and the body is presented first in the first two lines. Prano va annam. So here pranaha va annam means prana is the food eaten. Prana is the consumed. Pranaha va annam means what? Pranaha, indeed. Va actually vai. Pranaha vai annam. When you break it, pranaha vai annam. See, not, I tell you, not criticizing the food is a discipline. Bhakti. Okay. Now, pranahava annam means the prana becomes the consumed. Shariram annadam. Body is the consumer. Pranahava annam. Shariram annadam. Okay. Now we have to apply, we say to say that also. When is pranaha consumed? When is body the consumer? When we are inhaling, when you are breathing, oxygen is inhaled into the body. When the oxygen is inhaled into the body, then prana becomes the consumed, body becomes the consumer. This is the, similarly, there is a time, then prana becomes the consumer, body becomes the consumed. You have to write that also. When is the next relation? That is not mentioned here. It is, we have to understand. They mutually they are interdependent. When the prana becomes the consumed, body is the consumer. When during the breathing, when breathing is happening, inhalation is happening, the air is consumed, oxygen is consumed, taken in means body is the consumer of the prana. Body goes in from the outside. The prana goes inside from the out. So prana is taken in, so body is the consumer, prana is the consumed. But during our activities, we are vigorously practicing yoga and running around, lot of work when you do, lot of exercises are being done. Then what happens when you're sweating? Then a lot of prana comes out, isn't it? Then what happens? The prana energy. Prana consumes the excess of fat sitting all over. Isn't it? Body becomes eaten. The more exercise you do, the faster you breathe, then more energy gets exhausted. Exhaustion of energy is what? Exhaustion of energy means the body, the fat, excess of fat in the body becomes consumed during your activities. Then who is the consumer, who is the consumed? Then prana is the consumer, body becomes consumed. At one point you can see, when prana is consumer, body is the consumed. When the body is the consumer, prana becomes the consumed. It's called anna annada sambandha between pranaha and shariram. Is it clear? This sambandha. Similarly, prane shariram pratishthitam, prane shariram pratishthitam, sharire prana pratisthitah, sharire prana pratisthitah. This is the whole thing, then I can teach you again. I want to give you a first of idea how to understand this. The next is prane shariram pratishtitam. That line states pratishta pratishtita sambandha, support relationship between prana and the body. So you have to understand the relation in twofold relationship between prana and shariram, body and prana. First is anna annada sambandha, which is consumed consumer sambandha. Then pratishta pratishtita sambandha means supported sambandha. First you understood how there is anna sambandha between prana and shariram. Now this next line says prane shariram pratishthitam, prane shariram pratishthitam, sharire prana pratisthitah, sharire prana pratisthitah, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, dannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, detadannamanne pratishthitam, saya etadannamanne pratishthitam veda, saya etadannamanne pratishthitam veda, pratishthitam veda, pratitishthati, annavanannado bhavati, annavanannado bhavati, annavanannado bhavati, annavanannado bhavati, mahan bhavati, prajaya, pashubhir brahma varchasena, mahan kirtya, annam na nindyat. So without having taught the chanting, I said to went into the chat. Maybe will it be completed. Usually I was teaching all these days like this. Okay. Annam na nindyat, tadvratam, prano va annam, shariramannadam, prane shariram pratishthitam, sharire prana pratisthitah, sharire prana pratisthitah, prane shariram pratishthitam, shariram pratishthitam, sharire prana pratisthitah, sharire prana pratisthitah, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, tadetadannamanne pratishthitam, saya etadannamanne pratishthitam veda, स य एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति प्रतितिष्ठति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति महान् भवति महान् भवति प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन महान् कीर्त्या कीर्त्या अन्नं न निन्द्यात् अन्नं न निन्द्यात् तद्व्रतं तद्व्रतं प्राणो वा अन्नं प्राणो वा अन्नं शरीरमन्नादं शरीरमन्नादं प्राणे शरीरं प्रतिष्ठितं प्राणे शरीरं प्रतिष्ठितं प्राणे शरीरं प्रतिष्ठितं प्राणे शरीरं प्रतिष्ठितं शरीरे प्राणः प्रतिष्ठितः प्राणः प्रतिष्ठितः शरीरे प्राणः प्रतिष्ठितः शरीरे प्राणः प्रतिष्ठितः तदेतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं तदेतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं तदेतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं तदेतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं स य एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति स य एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति स य एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति महान् भवति महान् भवति प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन प्रजया प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसेन ब्रह्मवर्चसेन महान् कीर्त्या कीर्त्या. Now in this we are seeing the meditation upon the relationship between pranaha and shariram. So first discipline, the Vratam Upanishad presents in this chapter is Annam na Nindyat. We learnt it. We should remember here after dining hall. Annam na Nindyat. Annam na Nindyat. No more criticism of the food. Okay. Tadvratam. Tadvratam. If we criticize the food, that's also papam. Okay. Next, why? Pranam, annam, brahma. So, prano va annam, prano va annam, shariramannadam, shariramannadam. The first two lines, pranaha va annam, shariram annadam. So annam means eaten, annadam means eater, consumed, consumer. So when is pranaha consumed, between pranaha and shariram, there is anna annada sambandha. Consumed consumer relationship between pranaha and shariram. Is it clear? I mean Sanskrit words because if I don't see the reaction, then I can't continue. Okay. Got it now? Because I use Sanskrit word itself because better. If I use for one word for Sanskrit and one word for English, it will be confusing. So pranaha and shariram. So when is pranaha annam? When is pranaha is consumed? When breathing is happening, then prana is inhaled, then pranaha is inhaled into the body. Body is the consumer, prana is the consumed. That is anna annada sambandha. Then next, pratishta pratisthita sambandha. Support, supported sambandha. Next, prane shariram pratishtitam. Prane shariram pratishtitam. Now, prane shariram pratishtitam. Sharire pranah pratisthitah. Sharire pranah pratisthitah. Now, Sharire pranaha pratisthitah. Now, prana is supported by the body. Body is the support and prana is supported. Which line says? Second line. Sharire pranaha pratisthitah means body, shariram is the support and body becomes the pratisthitah, supported. When prana functions are happening, where is your physiological function? Inside, isn't it? So body is the support and prana is the supported. First line says, prane shariram pratishthitam. Body is the supported, prana is, first line says, prane shariram pratishthitam means body is the supported, prana is the support. When is the body supported, prana is the support. Yeah, body is supported, prana is the support. In fact, yeah, the body, pranas are inside, then body becomes a support for the prana. In fact, when the prana goes out, body becomes what? Body has no life. As long as prana is inside, body has life. So prana being inside is what? Support for the body. That is the second line. Sharire pranaha pratishtitaha. Prana is the supported, body is the support. When the physiological functions are happening inside the body is the support, prana is supported. When the prana goes, what happens? Then without a body, prana cannot be functional. So body becomes a support for the prana. When the physiological as long as physiological functions are inside the body, as long as prana remains inside the body, then pranas are functional. Suppose the prana leaves the physical body, then without the support of the physical body, prana will become non-functional. So which is support now? Body is the support for the physiological functions. How? They must be inside, then only they can be functional. Body is the body support for physiological functions. If they go out of the body, without support of the body, they become non-functional. That way, body is the support, pranas are the supported. When the prana is inside, again we have to say what? Body is alive. So body is dependent on prana for its life, and prana is dependent on body for its function, being functional. Body is dependent on prana for its very life. Then what do we say? Prana is the support, body is the supported. When the prana is dependent on body for its being functional, then body is the support, prana is supported. Very subtle, you have to see that. And what sambandha this is? Pratishta pratishtita sambandha. See, Upanishad presents, takes this one pair and shows us how there is anna annada sambandha, pratishta pratishtita sambandha. Consumer consumed sambandha relationship, supporter support relationship. Between this, mutually they are interdependent. Body is dependent on prana, prana is dependent on body. Similarly, one is a support, one is a supporter. One is the consumer, one is the consumed. So both are mutually consumer and consumed of each other, and both are mutually support and support of each other. Which means through this anna annada sambandha, pratishta pratishtita sambandha, Upanishad, see, now seeing this fact, how annam is dependent on prana, how prana is dependent on annam, in terms of anna annada sambandha or pratishta pratishtita sambandha. Seeing this itself is what? Seeing this fact itself is what? Meditation. Not meditation means sitting and then closing your eyes, seeing somewhere. Your mind is with a focused attention. If you are dwelling upon this fact, you are seeing clearly, doubtlessly, yes, how they are mutually supportive of each other, that becomes upasanam. Not simply thinking and going away. Repeatedly, we must see this fact. How prana consumes the body. When you are vigorously active, doing a lot of physical activities, the body is sweating, energy is exhausted, calories are exhausted, then prana is the eater of your body in the form of flesh, in the form of your calories. When you inhale oxygen, then prana is the consumed and you are the consumer. When the prana is there inside the body, then body is alive because of the presence of the body. Then prana is the support for the body. But the same prana, if goes out of the body, then prana also becomes lifeless, non-functional. Therefore, prana is also dependent on body for its being functional. It's called pratishta pratishtita sambandha. And Upanishad next says, Saya tadetadannamanne pratishtitam tadetadannamanne pratishtitam. See, the two annams are mentioned. Tad, etad, annam, anne, pratishtitam. One annam stands for prana, another annam stands for shariram. Tad, etad, annam, anne, pratishtitam. Which means prana is dependent on body. First, the two annams mentioned. Tad, etad, annam, anne, pratishtitam. Tad, etad, annam, anne, pratishtitam. Morning I'll make it clearer. Tad, etad, annam, anne, the two annam, anne, pratishtita means prana is dependent on body. Next line. Saya. Similarly, you have to understand same way. Body is dependent on prana. Prana is dependent on body, which means they are mutually dependent. Etad annam anne pratishtitam. That line states both prana and body are mutually dependent, mutually supportive, mutually consumed, mutually the consumers. Got it? Then immediately Upanishad goes to next line. Upasana phalam is mentioned here. Saya etadannamanne pratishtitam veda pratitishthati. Saya etadannamanne pratishtitam veda pratitishthati. So the person, whoever appreciates this fact of mutual dependence of prana and annam, which itself becomes a meditation, that person becomes established. Relative establishment. Okay, jnanam, when this morning we saw patitishtati means he becomes established in absolute sense. But here patitishtati means he becomes established in relative sense. Such a person who practices this meditation of appreciating the mutual dependence of prana and shariram in terms of anna sambandha, patishta sambandha, that person becomes well established in life. Which means what? Well established means he will be healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy. Annavan bhavati, he will also never starve, he will have lot of food. See, it's a great tapasya. Annadaha bhavati, he'll be enjoyer of good food. Mahan bhavati, he'll also be relatively a great person, and he'll be blessed with good progeny, cattle wealth, and also Brahma Varchas. No? The meditation also blesses a person with a relative degree of clarity, and the clarity the person has, this appreciation of this helps, in fact, not simply practicing this meditation. The person who sees this mutual dependence of this prana and shariram actually can see the mutual dependence of all the phenomena in this universe. All the phenomena. Such a person, naturally, relatively, he'll become a great person. He'll be blessed with good progeny and cattle and also Brahma Varchas. And he'll become very famous also. He'll have great fame. Mahan Kirtya. See, Upanishad, if you see yourself in the wider picture, so in keeping with your mental refinement, you can enjoy your relationship with the world also will be different. You will be accommodative, adjusting, understanding, compassionate, caring. Those things naturally will bring you what? Will bless you with good children, and then Brahma Varchas will be there. Naturally, you will be famous. There will be certain degree of fame. Mahan Kirtya, Upanishad says that person will be blessed with the great fame. He'll be great, and he'll also be blessed with the fame. Mahan Kirtya. Same sentence is repeated what we read in this morning. There everything absolute sense. Here everything in relative sense. Is it clear? Let us see it again. Read the sentence, mantra. Tomorrow morning I'll clarify it, okay? Because if you don't see any expression on your faces, I do not know whether listening or understanding or not understanding, or you finding it boring, or I don't know anything. Then even flow will stop. सय एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति सय एतदन्नमन्ये प्रतिष्ठितं वेद प्रतितिष्ठति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति अन्नवानन्नादो भवति महान् भवति महान् भवति. See, saya onwards upasana phalam, the benefit of appreciating this fact of mutual dependence between pranaha and dehaha, body, prana and body. Simple, it's a very simple thing. Even focusing attention on this, really sitting and appreciating how they are mutually related to each other, connected to each other. How from one angle prana becomes the consumer, body becomes the consumed. From another angle, body becomes the consumer, prana becomes the consumed. And from one angle, the prana becomes the supporter, body becomes supported. From another angle, body becomes supporter, prana becomes supported. This is what we have to understand, nothing else. A simple thing. It may sound simple because the words are Sanskritam. Sometimes when you don't understand, you may find it a little boring. But actually, a subtler fact is revealed here. We must be able to appreciate this. Right now, seeing here, this gradually, just seeing. The two are based on twofold relationship between these two phenomena. This one pair was discussed in this one chapter. Then saya etad annam onwards what? Palashruti. Benefit of practicing this meditation. It's not a big meditation, but simple meditation. Very simple, but you must focus and see this fact again and again and again and again. You see whether you are blessed with this or not. If you want this benefit, you must be able to see this. So the person who sees this fact of interdependence between the pranaha and the shariram, etad annam anne pratishthitam veda. How can a person see the interdependence between prana and shariram unless he really focuses attention, see this dependence? Such a person pratitishthati, he becomes established. Then annavan bhavati, he becomes the person who has abundance of food. Annadaha bhavati, he becomes the relisher, enjoyer of good food. Mahan bhavati, he becomes a great person among other people. See, pratitishthati, he becomes well settled means what? He becomes established means what? He becomes established means established with, he has a very good relationship with the family, society. It's all establishment. I mean, having the support from the family, support from the society, support from the public. It's all support. But well established means in this context, this person will have good support. Not only that, this person will be looked after very well when he becomes old by his children. They will not send him to old age home. It will be looked after with the family. This is all important. Nowadays, these things may sound very impractical. Even suppose your own children are not there, still somebody else will look after you. A person will have the support of the family, society. Even support of the nature. And he'll be blessed with fame. He'll become a great person. He'll become well known in the society. How these things will happen? What does this meditation upon this prana and shariram have to do with this person becoming well settled, well established in society? What does it mean? This meditation will bless this person with the wide vision, It will expand his mind, it will contribute for mental expansion, thereby his behavior in society will be different. It will earn respect and reverence for him. Okay, we'll see tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning I'm going to do the same thing. Because I didn't see any expression in the faces, that's why. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions, Swamiji? Please bring the questions tomorrow. Any questions? Come bring tomorrow. Nobody shows any. No, we may simply they say, stay at me like this. If they see me like this, what can I say? So I should stop teaching, ask questions, or continue teaching. Or I don't know what to do. That's why I kept quiet. That's why I don't stop now. I don't ask for questions. Maybe I should